Hello and welcome to this video. This is my second video in the Frank Miller Batman universe. Today we will be discussing Batman: The Dark Knight Strikes Again. In my opinion, this is probably the weakest of the Frank Miller Batman stories. I just finished reading Batman: The Dark Knight Returns Last Crusade, which I would put in slightly above this one, not by much, but it is what it is. The art in this is... I have a feeling the art in this is going to be one of those things that it was so far ahead of its time that we look at it now as bad or atrocious. But I think in time it will grow on people and will become one of those arts that people are gonna, in the future, are gonna really enjoy and like. I didn't care for the art myself, to be honest, but there was some good... It's a good parody, I should say. It's a good parody of Frank Miller's other titles, even his Daredevil artwork. The story, like I said, I may not have, but the story is the weaker of the four that I've read. I do like the inclusion of a lot of the minor superheroes, like the Question, also bringing in Shazam and the Flash and all those too. I like the inclusion of those characters. But as the story unfolds, let's kind of get into the story. As the story unfolds, basically it's been 3 years since Dark Knight Returns. Batman has watched society de-evolve and de-evolve and de-evolve, and just has said, I'm not doing this anymore, we're coming out open, and we're gonna take care of some business. You could tell in the story when the events of 9/11 affected the story. You see that in the story. From what I understand, Frank Miller was working on the story and watched the impact of the airplanes on the World Trade Center from his apartment not too far from there, and watched the trade towers fall, which had a very profound impact on him as a creator, and probably as a person. You'd have to be an idiot if the events of 9/11 did not move you in one way or another. Miller explores our being enslaved to our vices. Is a good way to put it. The ease in which we get sex, drugs, pleasure. We've become addicted to it, and how the politicians and how the government use your vices to manipulate, basically make slaves out of you through the things you like to do, not necessarily slavery by internment or, very forced slavery, as you think about it, but very, very subtle, very manipulative form of slavery. You see this in the mini panels of the over-sexualized news, basically the naked news, the hero girls, the hero girls, and that band, they're very over-sexualized. The skin tight clothing, very large breasts, very nice looking girls. It's extremely over sexualized. Then you flip back to Robin Carrie Kelly, who's now 16. She was 13 in the first one, and she's 16 at this one. She's had 3 years of training with Batman and the Sons of Batman, which she refers to as the Bat Boys. There is a nice little diatribe by Batman, aka Bruce Wayne, in which he talks about how he could take a punch, how he took pride in being able to take a punch, especially for bigger, stronger opponents, be able to take a punch and still be able to stand and fight through it. Then he goes on, he discusses how much pride he took in it. Then he contrasts that to Carrie Kelly, now calling herself Catgirl, that she enjoys making her opponents miss her, making her opponents look stupid for not being able to hit her. While she takes them down, takes them out, she gets really into that. That is her thing. And basically Batman is like, you know what? Maybe if I wasn't such an idiot, I could have done that in my earlier days and be in better health now. Which was kind of an interesting thing. Batman basically owning up to where he screwed up younger in life. That also brings into the Superman Wonder Woman affair. I don't necessarily agree with it. It makes sense from a logical point of view that basically Wonder Woman or Diana Prince's womb would be the only thing that would stand a Kryptonian ejaculation and a half Kryptonian child. But I'm old and I believe in the whole Superman and Lois Lane thing. That's just me. Whether it's a good thing or bad thing, right, wrong, indifferent, whatever, it's just what side of the fence you're on. But they do it well. They have the whole Batman, or not Batman, Superman and Wonder Woman flying through the air, fucking, and it goes that way, just like a pair of birds or eagles or whatever. But it's just what happens. The inclusion of the Plastic Man. That's another minor character that they included. I really enjoyed the way they used him in the story. Really enjoyed the way they used the Elongated Man. The twist with Dick Grayson and the Creeper, that was just kind of, didn't care for that part of the story. Didn't care about the whole rant that Batman goes on about hating Dick Grayson and all that. I just not something I was into. Just that kind of didn't ruin the story for me. It just kind of lessened its impact. Barry Allen, Flash, the black with the gold outfit, that was kind of cool. The inclusion of the Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, Captain Atom, and all that. I think if the story would have came earlier or later, I think it would have been better received. I think if the artwork would have been more along the lines of the original Batman Returns, it would have been better received. It's just the way out artwork, the craziness of everything going on. This is a story that's going to get better as time goes along. People are going to enjoy it more and more as time goes on. I don't think people in my age demographic are going to enjoy it as much as younger people. I'm talking people that are in their teens now. Will probably grow to enjoy the story more than we do. But it's very appropriate for the time that it came out. It came out in early 2000s when things like Pornhub and stuff like that were becoming online, where the availability of pornography, sex, getting a prostitute online, all that was starting to into fruition when this story came out. I think this is, like I said, this is my opinion, that if Frank Miller would have taken a step back away from the events of 9/11, caught his breath, then came back to the story, I think we would have had a better story. Or if he would have taken the time to go back and flush it out and redo some of the concepts. Dick Grayson is the creeper, stuff like that. The whole thing of Batman enjoying spreading terror. That could have been toned down or reworded better. And they could have probably done away with the entire Batman Kryptonite gauntlets smashing Superman in the Batcave again. Or smashing Superman again. This time it takes place in the Batcave. I think that was a redundancy. I think Miller realized that people really enjoyed that in the first one, so they felt it necessary to have a Superman smackdown in this one. I've watched different videos and I've read different things that kind of indicate that Frank Miller kind of set Superman up to be the bad guy. He doesn't necessarily hate Superman or dislike the character of Superman. It just, Superman happened to be the fall guy. He had to be the stooge in order. He was the only one that could be a stooge for the government and be a match for Batman. Wonder Woman, that she has a very small role in this story, but it's very relevant to the story. It sets up a lot of the things that are going to happen in Batman, The Dark Knight Returns, Master Race. So the inclusion of that was very, Wonder Woman's inclusion was very well done, very much needed, very good. It was something, I liked the way they included her. That's just me. But all in all, it was a pretty good movie, or book, not movie. I would really hate to see him do a animated movie using this art style. It would just be really hard on the eyes. So, all in all, like I said, this is probably, of the Frank Miller Batman Universe comics that I have read, this is probably the weakest story, probably the weakest one there is. So, and as it's worth a read. And compared to Miller's other works, yes, this is not Frank Miller quality work. This is subpar Frank Miller work. But compared to other writers, it's still up there. It's still a pretty good story. So, until next time, take care, peace, love, read comics.